I was hanging out with a buddy last week, and he started talking about finally getting that cinema-grade TV he's been dreaming about. He's got a decent-sized living room, a PlayStation 5 that's just waiting for a screen that can actually keep up, and he's worried about blowing his budget on something that ends up looking great in the showroom but feels off once it's mounted on his wall. I could see the hesitation. Spending a chunk of cash on an 85-inch set is a big commitment, and you want to be sure you're not just buying a giant picture that looks washed out in a bright room or a machine that needs a PhD to get the settings right. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Sony 85-inch mini-LED QLED TV lands squarely in the sweet spot for people who want both a massive display and the kind of picture quality you'd expect from a high-end home theater. It's not just about throwing a lot of pixels at you. The mini-LED backlight gives the panel a lot more control over brightness and contrast than a regular LED, which translates to deeper blacks and brighter highlights without the blooming you sometimes see on larger panels. Pair that with Sony's QLED color layer, and you get billions of real-world colors that stay consistent whether you're watching a blockbuster, a sports game, or a fast-moving shooter on your PS5. What really matters in daily life, though, is how that technology behaves once you actually sit down on the couch. If you're a gamer who already owns a PlayStation 5, this TV is built with you in mind. Sony's processing engine does a solid job of upscaling lower-resolution content and applying motion smoothing that feels natural rather than artificial. The console integration means the TV can automatically switch to a low-latency mode when you launch a game, and the HDR support with Dolby Vision brings out details in dark scenes that most TVs in this size range miss. In practice, that means you'll see the glow of a distant nebula in a space game or the subtle texture of a character's clothing without the image looking washed out. The built-in Google TV platform also means you won't need a separate streaming stick. All the big apps are right there, and the interface learns what you watch and suggests shows without you digging through menus. On the flip side, the size and price tag make this a very specific fit. An 85-inch screen in a room that's less than 12 feet wide can feel overwhelming, and the viewing distance recommended by Sony is roughly 10 to 13 feet for optimal immersion. If your space is tighter, you might end up moving your head a lot to catch details in the corners, which can be tiring over a long movie night. The TV also weighs a good amount, around 80 pounds, so you'll need a sturdy wall mount or a professional installer, and that adds to the overall cost. While the mini-LED tech gives you better contrast, it's still a backlit panel, so if you have a sun-filled living room with large windows, you'll notice some glare unless you add blackout curtains or a dimmer lighting scheme. Another hidden trade-off is the number of HDMI 2.1 ports. The model comes with 2 of them, which is great for a PS5 and maybe a next-gen console or a high-bandwidth streaming box, but if you also want to connect a soundbar, a Blu-ray player, and a separate gaming PC, you'll need to juggle an HDMI switch or rely on ARC/eARC for audio. The audio itself is decent for a TV of this size, but it's not a replacement for a dedicated sound system. Most reviewers note that the built-in speakers are fine for casual watching, but if you're after true cinematic sound, you'll want to budget for a soundbar or a surround sound setup. So, who should really consider this Sony 85-inch? First, anyone who already has a large living room and wants a single device that can serve as a TV, a gaming monitor, and a smart hub without extra boxes. If you love binge-watching series, you'll appreciate the Google TV's unified library and the fact that Sony includes a handful of movies preloaded, which can be a nice kickoff for a new home theater. Second, if you're a PlayStation 5 owner who cares about low latency and HDR fidelity, the auto low latency mode and Dolby Vision support give you a competitive edge without tweaking settings every time. Finally, families that gather for movie nights will notice the richer colors and deeper blacks, making blockbuster scenes feel more immersive.